If that sword from the Renault ad is anything to go by and size really does matter, then she should cop a load of this. Because we've brought a handful of big Americans to France, obviously, to find out if bigger really is better. So take your pick and prepare to go large. If you've always fancied a little sports car, then we'll try one of these for you, a Chevy Corvette, a really great big sports car. If you always fancy being pampered, well, don't mess around with tiddly little Beamers and the like. Go large and try a Cadillac Seville. For lovers of the four-wheel drive or trading your tiddly little Suzuki Jeep for one of these, a Chevy Blazer. And if you want more car than you ever thought you'd get for your money, we'll try out one of these, a Chevy Camaro. The Corvette is in fact the world's best-selling sports car, which must say something good about it, and it's now available over here. Well, not over here, this is France, over there, as in the UK, as opposed to the US, well, you know what I mean. Anyway, I've got cruising to do, so I can't sit around and chat. Got to look good on the streets. Oh my God! This thing's enormous! So, what was that bloke formerly known as Prince going on about when he sang Little Red Corvette? There is nothing little about this car, it's enormous. Even the figures are huge. It's a V8, 5.7 litre, 343 brake horsepower. The only small figure, in fact, is the 0 to 60. This whole thing will dash from 0 to 60 in about 5.2 seconds, which is ridiculous. But it does mean, above all else, I want to be in the movies. It isn't all about brute force though, there is some sophistication at work here. Not only do I have a very elaborate traction control system, which is probably just as well, I've even got a head-up display to tell me on the windscreen my RPM, kilometres an hour, and my oil temperature. It is only available in the UK in left-hand drive, and it's not cheap. Expect to pay between £40,000 and £45,000 for your Corvette, depending upon the specification. There's one market where I can see that big really is best. Corporate fat cats, ever eager to flash a bigger checkbook, company jet and cholesterol count than their competitors. Now, you don't see them praising a car for its compact dimensions, do you? What we want here is big, big and comfy. And the Cadillac Seville is both of those things. If, as I'm chatting away here, I get an oddly sort of glazed look on my face, that's because I'm having my bottom massaged. Well, not exactly. The seat is adapting to my own personal shape as we go along, which means both the seat pad cushion and the one behind me, they move and compress, and it's quite an unnerving sensation. And that really sums this car up. For the corporate fat cat who likes being pampered, you can't get any more pampered than here. They killed an entire field full of cows and spread their skin all over the inside of this thing. Every conceivable thing is electronically adjustable. Seats, steering wheel, the lot. This is a very, very big, comfy car. Prices for the Seville start at a shade under £40,000, but that list of specification goes on and on. It sounds like something from the Generation game. You get a CD auto changer, air conditioning, obviously, even a television and clever gizmos to help you park. And that's not all. Cadillac have another little trick up their sleeve that they hope will interest you. Dark, isn't it? Far too dark for filming, obviously, and too dark for driving as well. Unless you've got some of these. Headlights. Handy things, of course. They do make it an awful lot easier to see and to drive. That is until anything that's in them starts to get a little bit too far away. Then it can all get rather tricky. There's a novel solution. Look! I'm an amorphous white blob, which might not seem very impressive, but it's important because I am an amorphous white blob that you can see. Because this is night vision. And we're going to try it. It was developed by Cadillac together with the company that actually developed it for use in combat, and it really is night vision, the proper thing, infrared and all of that. It's fitted here to a DeVille, which is, I should say, very much a full-size American car, and it is in production in America. This isn't pie in the sky, it's real. There's a camera lodged behind the middle of the grille in front of the radiator at the front of the car. And it picks up, obviously, infrared light from objects in front of us, and it actually projects an image up onto the windscreen in front of me. It's head-up display. The effect is that I can see probably 5 times further than I can see in my own headlamps, which has huge safety implications. Obviously, they're extraordinarily pleased with this. It's in production in America, but I guess we will see it, and they're certainly confident that we will see it in Europe eventually. The surprising thing is that as an optional extra in America on Cadillac, it costs about $2,000, which really isn't a huge amount of money. And that really is an amazing piece of technology. And as I stare at it now, I can see people running across the road that I genuinely cannot see in the lamps. It works. The Americans invented the concept of the off-roader with the original Jeep, but back then in the war it was really rather a puny little thing. It had to be because of the original design criteria that it must be possible for 4 men to carry it in the battlefield. But nowadays, in common with overdrafts and crime figures, off-roaders have got bigger. This, the Chevy Blazer, is one of America's best-selling 4x4s, and we can now get it in the UK in right-hand drive. It's funny, but despite that first original American Jeep being a very genuine, back-to-basics, roughy-tufty off-roader, modern-day American off-roaders are more on-roaders. They're openly suburban vehicles. Some of them are even called suburban. The Chevy Blazer is no exception. It's big and comfy, great for cruising, taking the kids to school and back. Having said that it's comfortable and actually quite highly specified, which it is, don't expect to be necessarily pampered. The standard of fit and finish and the quality of the materials is not perhaps what we're used to from a European manufacturer. The Blazer starts at around £23,000, but 95% of customers in the UK opt for the leather and automatic version, which adds up to around £25,000. While we Brits were squeezing our stiff upper lips into the Healey Sprite, the MG Midget and the Triumph Spitfire, the Yanks were wedging their hamburger butts into cars so capacious and powerful you needed an oil tanker captain's license to take them off the forecourt. Muscle power was in, and it still is to a degree. This is the Camaro. You can buy one of these in the UK and they start for less than £20,000, which means you get about a yard a car for every quid you spend. I'm off for a burger. Don't expect the big Camaro to exert a vice-like grip on the road, though. It was designed for a country with hundreds of miles of roads, all with less bends than a set square factory. It would be very easy as you drive the Camaro to start criticising it for being not as well put together as, say, an Audi. But you have to keep reminding yourself, 20-something grand, just 20-something grand. There's no money for a lot of car. Okay, I've got to come right out and say it. I just love big old lazy American sports cars. I loved the Dukes of Hazzard, I loved Smokey and the Bandit, and I want their cars. I'd also like to be able to jump a 600-foot ravine in their cars, when in fact they'd break in half if you drop them from more than a foot off the ground, but I probably never will. If there's one thing all these cars have in common, the Corvette, the Camaro, the Seville and the Blazer, it's huge grin potential.